We are witnessing a collective desire to reconnect and rediscover our roots in the earth. There is a need for greater integrity of the soul in the way that we live, to have more meaning in life, and to contribute more significantly. Finding our way out of the maelstrom that is modern life is no easy task in the context of the prevailing beliefs that man is master of the earth. Our path out will require each and every one of us to shift our perception of our place in and within the world, and to accept that each of us is woven into the fabric of life, interdependent upon each other and upon the world in which we live. For me, the elements are a key part of this process, in particular the energies, physical and metaphysical, that they bring to life. Earth, air, fire and water are the building blocks of life on every level. They are more than form or function. They are the forces of creation. 5 years ago, I was sitting with a client, trying to find a coherent identity for their multi-stranded business. Intellectual creativity could only take us so far in the process, and it needed another dimension to bring it to life. A chance reading of some feedback from a customer brought that dimension. Referring to the elements, the word literally exploded with energy, and it instantly connected to my clients. And it was that word that birthed a new identity that matched the energy of their intent perfectly. It was a seemingly isolated moment, but it quietly birthed a personal remembrance, and so my contribution to the collective reconnection to our roots came to life. Humans are driven to create. Art, dance, music, literature, these are just simply the most obvious forms of our creativity. Every act is an act of creativity. Whilst creativity is prized, it is also decried. Somehow we have come to believe that only the gifted are creative. The denial of individual creative self-expression has disconnected us from our true nature, because creativity is the expression of the soul. We are driven to create because we are so much more than flesh and bone. Creativity is the impetus for becoming our whole and full self. Our individual becoming is also part of our collective becoming. The more creative we allow ourselves to be, the more creative we become. Unlimited potential is made possible through the acceptance of our creativity. And we are all connected. Every individual that begins the journey of becoming discovers their power to create, and that their creations are part of the collective creative endeavour. So giving ourselves permission to accept our individual creativity and to take action upon it is one of the most powerful contributions to our own life and to the lives of everyone. And the elements, at their most basic level, are the building blocks of the world that we know. Everything on this planet, natural or man-made, comes from the elements. Earth, air, fire and water create the form of everything that we can touch and sense. Our homes, cars, the warmth that we feel, the books that we read, the food that we eat, our computers, phones, it all comes from the elements. The extraordinary diversity of natural and man-made creations just demonstrates the infinite versatility of these elements. But what drives this diversity? Earth, air, fire and water are not inanimate. Primarily they are energy, and they respond to the energy of intention. So just as two identical plants will respond to all aspects of their environment and become different plants, an act of creativity responds to the energy that calls it forth and the energy that surrounds it. So the form that is created is a physical expression of the energy that is felt. So the energy we bring to creative expression determines the form of our creation. We are what we think, and we create what we feel. The elements respond to our energy, and we respond to theirs. It is not the one-way street that has become the mainstay of our modern society and the mainstay of our thinking. It is an interdependent relationship. When we are creating the interplay of energies, It is a fundamental part of the creative process. This interplay creates resonance, which is different for every one of us and different for each of us at different times. So how we feel affects how we connect to and react to the elemental energies. It changes what we can create and what we are capable of creating. The frequencies of the elemental energies combine with our frequency and create an energetic signature, and it is this that determines the form. And we are connected to these energies, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. We share our frequency, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. What we create depends on this, and becoming conscious of this alchemy is the key to creating what we desire rather than what we fear. The elemental energies are dynamic frequencies, interacting with the energies around them. As we call them into play, a dance of creation begins. Nuances in the interplay speak of the infinite variability of thought, purpose, and intent in energetic form. If you call water into play, no two people will create the same thing because of these subtle nuances. The same person will not create the same thing twice because the initial act of creation has adjusted the frequency of their creativity. So when multiple elements are called into play, the frequencies are infinitely variable. The extraordinary diversity of life on Earth is manifested because of this variability. The elements themselves are distinct entities in their own right, but it is in the alchemy of the energies that creation is truly expressed. No creation is ever born of one elemental energy alone. The creative process is only complete when the energies of all the elements are invoked. Each brings a distinct and unique contribution to creative expression that offers resilience, durability, flexibility, and strength. Creative endeavours that stand the test of time involve all the elemental energies in varying energetic signatures. So consciously engaging with the elemental energies to create is a cyclical process where each of the elements shares its characteristics. The elements themselves are conventionally ascribed to the cardinal directions and seasons, with earth being in the north for winter, air being in the east for spring, fire being in the south for summer, and water being in the west for autumn. In expressive activities, that creative cycle, the movement through those elemental energies, is clockwise. But in regenerative activities where the energy is being drawn in, the movement is typically anti-clockwise. Where you begin in this cycle, which has no beginning or end because it is in a circle, is dependent on the element which most closely aligns with your own expressive energy. And I refer to this as your power element. It is the place where you feel most at home creatively. Whilst your relationship to an element will be 100% unique, there are some consistent qualities within each element that you can sense and work with. Earth, for example, is the energy of stillness. Air is the energy of inspiration, fire, the energy of passion, and water, the energy of reflection. As you move through the elements in sequence, there is a rise and fall in the energy that feels like a breath. Feels as though you are taking a breath in and a breath out. Each journey through the cycle builds on the last and prepares the way for the next. So each circle and each transition around the spiral is taking us to new heights and depths of creative expression as we remember what we are truly capable of. Creative expression is movement. It cannot take place in just one elemental aspect. Creative flow is the rhythm of inward creation to outward expression. Inspiration is received, it is explored, it is acted upon, and the lessons and development are integrated, leading to inevitable growth. The preparation for the next stage comes from the completion of the last. And this cycle is reflected in the hero's journey in stories where the call to adventure leads to a transformation and a becoming with a return as a different person. So our relationship to each element is deeply personal. We have our favourites, and some often feel uncomfortable as we unfold and become. True creation depends on all of the energetic frequencies to bring creativity into full expression and form. Awareness of the different creative states of each elemental energy instantly opens you up to flow through the creative states, which in itself brings you into full expression. So working with each frequency, each elemental state as a continuous flow is the key to turning creative inspiration into creative action and bringing the beauty of creative expression to the world. So all creativity begins with a stimulus. Now what stimulates you is totally dependent on your power element. It might be needs and gaps and random thoughts and chance information, inspiring speech, deep discussion, connection. Inspiration is catalyzed in many possible ways. Now it can't be forced, but it can be nurtured. Immersing yourself in the stimuli that speak to your individual expression draws the energy of inspiration into your life and to your experience. And immersing yourself in the elements further nurtures your creative expression. The key is to feel the elemental energies and become aware of which energy is seeking expression through you at any one time. And obviously getting outside is the most powerful way to immerse yourself and your senses in the elements, because it allows your body to remember the energetic resonance which holds within, and your body is your vehicle of creative expression on every single level. Conscious awareness of this resonance, the resonance of each individual element, will bring you to a place where you can invoke those energies at will in order to support your creative flow. Our voices are the primary tool of connected expression, and to understand the elements it is imperative to give them voice, to acknowledge and understand more than their physical properties, to appreciate the ways that they nurture our unique creative expression, and that becomes necessary to sing their song, and their song is a song of reconnection and remembrance. We begin with singing the song of the earth. The living earth is an alchemical mix of elemental energies. If you were to look at the earth from space, you would see a fluid, dynamic, living force. It isn't simply a set of systems sitting on a lump of rock. It is breathing, it is dynamic, it is creation in form. And feeling our part of this, rather than feeling separate from it, is the path of rebalancing and coming back to ourselves. And this is the creative power of the element of earth. It brings us back to ourselves. The earth is physical manifestation. Connecting to this energy of earth is how we create what we are here to create. It is allowing our creation to grow up through us, and this is the path of creation itself. We need to move away from manipulation for our own goals. This is the basis of our existing relationship with earth. But this is not the creative energy of earth. It is the manifestation of individual expression, bringing into form what we are here to create through our form. We came for a reason. Our reason is waiting within the earth to be released. The creation of the whole, through the realization of individual expression, is what earth is bringing to us, should we choose to sense it. Connecting to earth and allowing the two-way flow of the energy of creation to move through us is what unlocks the true depth of our creative powers. Earth is the gift of self-expression. It balances individualization and connection. It is oneness. It is being whole in ourself through our creative self-expression, and being ourself in the whole, recognizing and appreciating that we are part of a picture that is not complete without us as a whole being. So we create the whole by creating ourselves. The self is one. The whole only exists because of the parts, and each of us is one of those parts. So without the whole, we are directionless, but without us, the whole is not complete. So earth energy reconnects us to our truth. It's more than planting our feet. It is feeling the immense vibration and frequency of creative energy. Accessing earth energy is grounding, it is stillness, and it is more. Because there is no silence. Silence in nature is the very breath of life, the beating heart. Stillness is pulsating, vibrating, oscillating. It is moving with the spark of creation. And of course, all is both microscopic and all-encompassing. The tiniest part of the whole is the whole. It carries the energy of oneness and completion within its unique and individual self. So balance is way bigger than we can see and appreciate with our minds. It can only be felt. The earth is a mirror for balance. Hot and cold, dry and wet, low and high. Across the earth we live on, polarities are in balance on a scale that we cannot measure or appreciate. Until we balance ourselves, we cannot appreciate the balance of life on earth that we live upon. We need to learn to live within this earth again, and to remember that all is part of one and one is part of all. We must trust and feel, opening the pathway of dialogue to explore the balance and to create anew. We must open the pathway to ourselves, because it will open the pathway to all. And now we sing the song of water. Water cannot help but move. It is moved by outside forces, but it also has its own desire to move, which is as strong as can be. It flows even when we can't see what drives it. If it can't move forward, it moves down or around. If it's captured in stasis, it vibrates. It is ceaseless, breathing, pulsing life. That need to move and explore, and to become more as it travels, through, around, towards and away. It has a memory, and it collects as it travels. It becomes more by picking up the essence of its experience, and this subtly changes the character of the water. It is impressionable and immutable. It is gentle and fierce. It can give life and destroy. It is the flowing, moving energy of life, the flowing blood and sap of all life. It reforms, erodes, carries along, moves from one place and perspective to the next. It allows you to see life from every angle. It's playful when you play with it, and destructive when you deny it. And it should not exist, but it cannot but exist. It has many forms in response to external pressures and forces, yet it is always reflecting the endless and limitless possibilities that can be explored. And it transcends every obstacle. Even though it changes states, it comes back to itself. It cannot be captured or contained. It is free, and it is formless, but with form. The water seeps through the earth, finding reservoirs underground, and as it does, it speaks to the land, and it returns, bringing with it the secrets of the earth up into the light and the air. And in this way, water feeds life of earth. The full force of water forms great waves to sweep away all that stands in its path, clearing the way for a new beginning. Water is always there. It is omnipresent, in the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, within us, in our cells, our physical presence, our breath and our blood. Water is the flow of the self, the depth of self, the ever-presence of self and one, simultaneously combined and present individually. It is therefore paradox and polarity. We cannot deny ourselves. Water carries the essence of our being and oneness in every part of us. Water is reflection and the undeniable call of the self, and the call to oneness. Water gathers, and as it gathers, it gains strength. It is the energy of connection, bringing the many stories and journeys to one destination to begin all over, and tell the myths and stories of what was, to share what will be. Water is strength in self and strength within community, within collecting beingness. Water is acceptance, undeniable truth and reality. And water is peace in many forms, always present, always possible. And now we sing the song of air. Air moves under pressure. A high pressure exists because there is a low pressure because there is a high. All states exist in dynamic balance. We need the fluctuations to create movement, freshness, clarity, because air is not bounded, it is not contained. Breath is the exchange of air energy, moving in and out in a rhythm of balance. It balances the polarity of giving and receiving. It is the deconstruction and the reconstruction in one. The pieces can all be moved around in any way, in any dimension. And with air you can choose to shift the view at any moment and rebuild more freely around the whole, because you can see it from every side. Air is gentle and fierce. Without it we suffocate it. Without it we cannot be creative, and we cannot create. And if we cannot create, conceive, believe, imagine, we cannot be. We cannot be our purpose, because we are here to create. And air is the freedom to see and conceive what only we can. And for that reason it lifts us. It allows us to soar, to twirl and twist, to see things from a different perspective, to see what we cannot or will not allow ourselves to see from close up. It is the opportunity to re-believe our reality. And it's curious and playful and explorative. Air is permission to journey and the medium of transportation to different realms of possibility. Breathing in what could be, air brings all the elements to life, because without air, movement, freshness, allowance of change, challenging of the self, without that, stagnation is inevitable, and air lightens and clears. It is the unifier. It connects the pieces by seeing from different angles how we all connect to each other, to the earth, to the trees, to the animals. It moves from one to another, touching each of us, sharing with us as we share with it. It transfers the energy from one to the other, and so it allows us to grow. And it is generosity of spirit and generosity of nature. And it is a recognition that giving takes nothing away, it only adds to the richness. Giving gives to the self and to all. Air is the energy of amplification. It is change, openness to what can be, but not to what is or has been, because it is permission to expand and shift and become. And now for fire, and sing the song of fire. For fire is the self, the absolute enormity of self and spirit. It's overwhelming and inviting at the same time, because behind the intensity is joy and playfulness. It's filled with infectious giggles. It contains the joy of pursuing the path of self and of passion. It speaks of the butterflies that portend true potential, of nervous anticipation of what can be. In fire we see our true stature, the enormity of our own presence and being. It brings the precision of our purpose and the truth of our being and contribution. Fire is the Grail quest, holding the frequency of exploration and experimentation. It repels that which does not belong and beckons that which does. It purifies of distractions of the path of purpose, bringing focus, clarity and determination. Fire is unrelenting because the spirit is unrelenting. It embraces all that feeds it, and that which does not feed it is driven away. This is why we are scared of our fire. We fear being less when we are being more. We fear losing what we have and what we may gain. Fire is our call to embrace what is truly ours and to let loose the hold on that which is not. In water we accept, in earth we stand strong, in air we become, and in fire we must acknowledge and be the truth of who we are, why we are here and what we are here to create. It can be daunting and seem beyond us, but our fire cannot live without our water, earth and air, and our water, earth and air cannot live without our fire. To live fully we must embrace our fire. When we back off that energy, we do more than dim our light. We cease to create, and in so doing we cease to truly live. But when we fan our flames, we rise, we grow, we elevate our being to match our soul. Fire is the pathway to becoming, and it is our mirror. We may not feel we can match the intensity of what we see before us, but it is our true reflection. It calls upon us to believe in ourselves, to reflect and act and expand with that energy, and it challenges us to do the work, to become what we truly are, and in so doing, to move beyond our own self-imposed limitations. It is fire that gives vitality to all parts of us. It warms our emotions, our homes, our movement. Fire nurtures us as we grow. Passion and purpose bring meaning and direction to our lives. But more than this, they call us to accept the truth of our being, the scale of our purpose, and the love of ourself. It demands of us to resource that which we must, so that we can create what we must. It asks us to love ourselves because we love what we are here to do, because this is our journey and ours alone. Fire is the power of creation and the acceptance of our power to create. In fire, we see ourselves as one, individual and whole, and one with all, equal in every measure to all that is, connected to the great web of life. Fire asks us to truly value what we create because only we can create it. Only we can complete the picture. Fire calls upon us to accept our essential role. It asks us to become the creator of self and to take responsibility for our lives and our place in the cosmic scheme. Fire asks us to become for our greater good and for the whole greater good. It is a tough taskmaster of our own making because we knew that we needed it. We are here to fulfill our creative purpose. The need to create is in our DNA. Ideas and inspiration flow to us all the time, and the ways in which we respond to daily life are acts of creation. We are driven to use this innate capability to make the world a better place on every level. In our families, our work, our communities, we seek solutions that raise the bar. Each of us is gifted with a unique creative expression, and it shows up in every aspect of life and work. We bring this creative frequency to our tasks and to our presence, and in the alchemy of our connection to life, we create an unmistakable and irreplaceable energetic signature. Our unique connection to the individual and collective elemental energies creates an energetic signature that is unlike any other. It is this that leads to infinite creativity. To act in denial of this denies our creative existence and purpose. It is a denial of self, the unique contribution of each and every person acting in resonance with their creative expression is exactly what the world needs. And the world needs entrepreneurs who understand and work with this. So many people are drawn into entrepreneurship because of an inner need to express themselves with integrity. The opportunities to simply be are limited as an employee. The chance to step away from these limitations is exactly what draws people into entrepreneurial life. Because business itself is an act of creative expression. And the elemental energies have as much a role in day-to-day business as they do in the high arts. Everything is creative expression. And businesses themselves are energetic entities in their own right. The combination of purpose and energy is the catalyst for a unique presence or energetic signature, and this is what underpins branding, for example. In the main, we troubleshoot the symptoms of our businesses rather than the energy of our business, because the outer presentation of a business is always an expression of how the energy is being expressed internally. So focusing on what is happening on the outside, obsessing over website design and funnel construction, for example, without considering the energetic expression, is where the dissonance and struggle are created for entrepreneurs. On occasions, you have lucky accidents that cannot be replicated, leading to huge frustration and anxiety. And if the energy became your primary tool and you explored how it is expressed creatively through the essential elements of creation, if you felt the alchemy of these energies and allowed this to define and guide how you designed and created and connected through your business, what would be different? These are the questions that have driven me to creating a deep elemental connection in my own business. On the face of it, you wouldn't know that the energy, style and flow of my work are guided by the elemental energies, but it is what you sense that counts. The energies of earth, air, fire and water are present in all my work. Every program has a different energetic signature, every iteration a different personality, and that is defined by the elements. And what matters is not the presentation, but what the signature brings to your awareness. Business design is a response to the energy first and foremost. The energy communicates through colour, sound, sense that is felt within the body. And the body is a powerful receptor. Our minds are powerful translators. Establishing a line of communication between body and mind is how we bring energy into expression. So the question is, how does that energy want to be expressed? This is the question that begins the process of unfolding, from energy to understanding to expression. Every single experience is different. The cadence, rhythm and tone and feel combine in infinitely variable ways that bring richness and depth to a world of business that is otherwise dry and logic-driven. The elements bring soul back into the world of business, and they bring soul back into life. And that's where it becomes possible to blend creativity with logic, intuition with fact, and flourish with practicality. So turning to our energetic roots is not pie in the sky. It's not impractical. It is in fact a necessity in the quest to create more balance and to create more conscience in business, to keep it in step with the rapidly changing global collective consciousness. Remembering our genesis in the elements is the path of a creative life. What will you create?